This is Greg Palmer. I am the woodworking nerd. And today I'm going to show you how to use Sketchup. It's very basic. And that's what nerds do. They show other nerds how to use the computer. But so if you already know how to use Sketchup, maybe better use of your time to go into your wood shop and cut something up. But stick around. Maybe you'll learn something. All right, let's do this.
Alright, welcome to the SketchUp tutorial. We're going to be learning the basics of SketchUp, which the first thing to me that's basic to SketchUp is orbiting. You really need to know how to get to the side of the object that you want to look at. So to do that, come up to your tool set here and select the orbit tool. How do I know it's the orbit tool? Because it says so. So I select the orbit tool. And in order to orbit, now I just left click with my mouse, hold it down and drag. Now you can see it's kind of like turning a page. If I want to turn the page, I click in the top right corner and I drag down to the bottom left. And that's how you move your object around. You can also look at different views by clicking on one of these icons from the View toolbar. And you can pull the toolbar up by going to your View menu button here and select Toolbars. You can scroll down and you can see I've already selected the Views toolbar, and that's why it's sitting there. And you can click on the Isometric button, and isometric is just a really long engineer's word for 3D. So it'll show you a 3D view. Now you can click on the top button. And top is a really long redneck word for lid. Just kidding. But anyway, if you click on the top, it'll show you the top of your drawing. If you click on this, it looks like the front door here, you'll see the front of your drawing. This is the right, this is the back, and this is the left. And so you can really quickly see different view angles of your drawing. Now, if you do not have the orbit tool selected, you can still orbit by clicking on this middle scroll wheel here. So you click on that scroll wheel and then you drag just like you would while you've selected the orbit tool. It really is a way of selecting your orbit tool, but you can do it while you're using any of these other tools. So orbit, that's a really handy thing to know how to do in SketchUp, especially when you're working a lot in 3D. The second thing you need to know is you need to know how to scroll. Now, again, you've got to have a mouse. In my opinion, when you're messing around with SketchUp, it's really handy to have a mouse, and it's really handy to have one with the scroll wheel. So if you don't have one, go down the store, plump down $20 or $10 or whatever it costs, because it will be worth it. Okay, so now to scroll, if you want to zoom out, now to zoom, okay. Oh, yeah. If you want to zoom out, you need to scroll back on your wheel towards you. Now, if you want to zoom in, you scroll forward. So, why is this handy? Because sometimes you have a big drawing and you need to see all of it at the same time to be working, so you need to zoom out by scrolling back. Or you need to work on something detailed and you need to zoom in to a specific location on your drawing. So the trick with scrolling is your cursor really makes a big difference. And what I mean by that is you can move your object around with the pan tool, which looks like a hand, but you can also move stuff around by scrolling. And what I mean by that is, if I want to see in more detail this bottom right corner, I can zoom on it, but I want to see the even further bottom right on this block. Well, what I would do is go to the top left corner of your drawing and zoom out. And that brings this more into focus. And then move my cursor over the box and zoom in. So wherever my cursor is, that's where the focus of your zooming in or out is going to be. So if I want to focus more on the bottom left corner, I'll move to the bottom right, and then I can focus in here. If I want to be in the bottom or the top right corner, zoom out of the bottom left, and then zoom onto your object. So it's very handy. The third thing you need to know how to do is select. Now I'm going to explode this this box, and I'm going to show you that when you click on your mouse, and you have to have the select tool, which is this black arrow. Now you click and you drag, it creates a solid box. Now when you have this solid box, when you're clicking and dragging from the top left to bottom right, or bottom left to upper right, that will create a solid box. Now when I do that, you have to completely surround something in order to select it. Now in this box, this line and this line were the only things that I had completely surrounded, so they're the only things selected. Now I'm going to select just this front face with the lines around it. See, I didn't completely surround this line right here, so it didn't get selected. Now one thing that's kind of tricky is, what you didn't see is I did completely surround this line over here, so it got selected as well. But it's so very critical to know how to select. Now if I select from the bottom right to top left, or top right to bottom left, then you get a dashed line box, and this dashed line box selects anything that it touches. So you can see it's touching all these faces here, so it selected them all. It did not touch this line right here, so that's not highlighted. So this can be very useful when selecting several groups and objects, and but just know that it selects anything it touches. Now if this were a group, which I'll make it a group right now, nothing is selected. Now when I do the dashed line select, I just barely touch it, it selects the whole box because it's one entire group. So we'll get more into groups and components and all that good stuff later, but just know how to orbit, how to zoom, and how to select. And remember, you have to completely surround something with the solid line, and anything that the dashed line touches, it selects. So practice with those things, and you'll be well on your way to learning SketchUp. Thanks.